is Senator Turner here? Oh. Oh, hey.
Before you get started, how are you? Long time no see.
Good.
Doing
How's
okay?
your summer going?
Doing okay.
All right. All right. Hello. Hey, Reverend Boyer. How good to see you. This your new hometown, right? Oh, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Before I get to the reason that we're all assembled here, I think it's very important that I report to all of you the latest numbers of COVID in the state. We all know that we're back masked up and we're really social distancing, and it's important that we on a daily basis keep up with where we're at. The Department of Health is reporting a total of 5,375,536 individuals who live, work, or study in New Jersey who have now completed their full regimen of vaccination. And you know that we continue to encourage everyone in New Jersey to get vaccinated, as it is really, really the best way for us to fully ensure that we are protecting ourselves, our families, and the entire community. We are also reporting 1,569 additional positive PCR cases and 536 presumed positive antigen tests today. And our positivity rate is 6.32. So I hope everyone understands what that means, our positivity rate at 6.32. We must be serious about this, we must be vigilant, and we must encourage everyone in our community to consider vaccination as the way we go in the other direction here in our state. These numbers prove that COVID continues to spread. Our hospitals in New Jersey are treating, as I made reference, 636 COVID positive patients, along with more than 60 who are waiting for confirmation that they do in fact have COVID. They're waiting their test results. There are 135 patients in our ICUs, and 54 of those patients are on a ventilator. Throughout the day yesterday, 107 COVID positive patients were admitted to our hospitals, while 100 patients were discharged. Sadly, I must report that we had 6 more confirmed COVID deaths. I join Governor Murphy in urging you to do all you can to end this pandemic here in our state. Get vaccinated, mask up when you're inside in a crowded place, and let's all pull together to protect the people in our state. So, you know that the reason we are here today is to sign a very important bill. And I would like to call upon Andrea McChristian, who is the Law and Policy Director for the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, to give us some background and an overview.
Good morning, everyone. I'd first like to thank Governor Murphy and Lieutenant Governor Oliver for the signing of this important legislation that will open up so many opportunities for our young people. I'm honored to share a few brief remarks today on behalf of the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice to situate us in this powerful moment in time. to reflect on what today's bill signing, which will officially create the Restorative and Transformative Justice for Youth and Communities pilot program, means for one of our state's most valuable resources, our young people. And the word that I want us to be guided by today during today's signing is simple: investment. The creation of this pilot program reflects an investment in the futures of our young people, rather than investment in their downfall. An investment in restorative justice hubs and enhanced reentry services to wrap around and support them in their communities, rather than an investment in faraway youth prisons removed from their homes and loved ones. But to be clear, this investment didn't begin today. No, the investment that serves as the foundation of this pilot was accelerated over a year and a half ago, when our world was forever changed by the COVID-19 virus. This investment started with our collective advocacy with the state to keep our kids safe from this deadly pandemic, leading to New Jersey becoming the first state in the nation to test all of its incarcerated youth for COVID-19, and we're thankful to the JJC for their partnership in that. This investment continued through advocates and state actors joining together to ensure the release of over 100 young people from our state's youth prisons in response to the ongoing public health crisis. And this investment continues today with the signing of a bill that will not only provide enhanced reentry services for these newly released young people, but will also create restorative justice hubs in 4 pilot cities that have been disproportionately impacted by youth incarceration, to ensure that our young people stay in their homes and communities and never touch the youth justice system at all. And at a time when our state will spend over $50 million on youth incarceration this year, an $8.4 million investment in our kids' futures rather than in their imprisonment represents a powerful step toward the ultimate investment: closing all 3 of our state's youth prisons and fully funding a community-based system of care in the New Jersey communities most impacted by youth incarceration. This pilot will provide critical supports and services for our state's Black and brown youth, who are the ones most significantly impacted by youth incarceration. Indeed, at a time when New Jersey has the worst Black to white youth incarceration disparity rate in the nation, and when only 9 white kids were incarcerated as of this May, it is clear that a targeted and intentional investment in our Black and brown young people is needed so that they are given the same opportunities to thrive as their white peers. And we begin to make this investment today. The Institute has been honored to take part through our 150 Years is Enough Youth Justice campaign in advocating fervently for this bill's passage. And I'd like to specifically thank my colleague Retha Onatiri for championing this bill on behalf of our team. I'd also like to thank all of our partner advocates and partner organizations, including Salvation and Social Justice, for their fierce advocacy through texts, calls, op-eds, letters, and other activism to let the state know we need these services now. I'd also like to thank all of the bill's sponsors and co-sponsors for their strong support of this legislation, with particular praise for the steadfast leadership of Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, Assemblywoman Sumter, Senator Turner, and Senator Poe, as well as their exemplary teams in making today a reality. Thank you also to the Juvenile Justice Commission and the Governor's Office for working closely with advocates to get this bill to the finish line, and to the Lieutenant Governor for making this bill law today. We look forward to continuing the work to implement the pilot program and to take the next step, as I mentioned, in closing all of our state's youth prisons once and for all and pouring even more needed funding into impacted communities. Which brings me back to the word of today: investment. That is all a young person needs to succeed, to cope, to persevere, to have the resources they need to not only survive, but to thrive. And that investment begins today. Thank you so much, and with that, I'll bring back up the Lieutenant Governor.
So I'd like to thank you, Ms. McChristian, for all that you are doing for advocating for the interests of youth and minorities in our state. And the entire team at the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice has never wavered in their commitment to ensuring that there is justice for all in our state. And we certainly hope that you will share our sentiments about the leader of your institute, Ryan Haygood, and all the work that you guys are doing there. Thank you very much. You know, when I'm in a place like this, meaning a youth facility, I'm reminded of the earlier part of my career. I spent approximately 12 years as the director of a private nonprofit organization in Newark that had been founded in 1946. The organization's mission was to guide young people, 1946. I wasn't there back then, but, even then, the issue that was of importance was creating the opportunity for young people through education, through social experiences, and just through exposure to reach the highest levels of the potential that they bore. And I want to just take a moment to thank our director, Sam Frisbee, the commissioner, because he does an awesome job here at the Trenton YMCA. And I want to thank the Y for hosting us here this afternoon. And you know, the YMCA has played an integral role in strengthening our communities through the years by providing New Jersey's youth with valuable programming to help them develop and to grow. The Trenton YMCA has a very long history of setting kids up for success in life. Governor Murphy and I see and we appreciate the great work that you are doing here to help our youth become healthier, more confident, and secure in their communities. And I am a former Y kid. Growing up in the city of Newark, the late Congressman Donald M. Payne served as the international president of the Y. And when he began to get active in community affairs, he had the Newark Y open up a network of social clubs for young people. And I can reflect on the importance of the work that gets done here, because what we would do is we learned Robert's rules by having our social clubs. We learned how to open bank accounts. We learned how to host activities in the community. And we basically learned how to work in a group. And I know that that good work is happening here at the Y. And that is the kind of work we hope to accomplish and achieve through this bill that we are signing today. And that's why we're here, to support and invest in young people. There is no child who comes into this world without the ability to reach their full potential. No child. But there are far too many children who come into this world without the socio-emotional and physical supports that they need to reach their full potential. There are many barriers that can stand in their way: food or housing insecurity, a lack of access to quality education, sustained poverty, abuse or neglect, and physical and environmental challenges. All of these factors can result in adverse trauma that endangers the child's welfare and puts them on the wrong trajectory in life. There is no fault of the child, and this is no fault of the child. It is the systemic failure of our society and justice system to respond to these challenges. The cost of incarcerating a child in our state juvenile facilities is exorbitant. In 2021, we spent over $445,000 per child. $445,000 per child in a, quote, juvenile correctional facility. The amount that we spend on funding community programs, like some of the programs that operate here, pales in comparison to what it costs to operate these other systems. You know, it was the advocacy that occurred during our first term in office that brought us to this place we are today. And it's just not an issue of inadequate funds. It's an issue of racial inequity. Despite the fact that research shows that Black and white youth commit most offenses at similar rates, New Jersey has the highest Black to white youth incarceration racial disparity in the country. And we are not a large state. We're a state of 9 million people. Our goal today is not just to change the dialogue about juveniles who have endured challenges and put them on a better path. It is to change the dialogue and to put those words into action. The bill that I will have the honor and privilege of signing today establishes a restorative and transformative justice for youth and communities pilot program in the Juvenile Justice Commission. And I just want to give an homage to the Juvenile Justice Commission and the county-based JJCs, a group of volunteers who represent a lot of different sectors who are committed to working in local communities to address the issue of children who need our intervention. The pilot program will help to create a safe, caring environment for our youth to help address their physical and their mental challenges. It will help facilitate health for youth, their families, and the communities in which they live. And it will help heal the challenges they have endured by using trauma-informed practices, violence reduction, and peacemaking supports and tools to address the harmful patterns of behavior. A lot of data has been collected in that regard as well. And every year across the state, the United Ways put a lot of emphasis on the outgrowth of trauma on our young people. And often the issue of trauma is never addressed. And we know that there is a direct relationship between the trauma that youth experience and the conditions and situations they find themselves in. The pilot program will be established in 4 locations, as Andrea made reference to: Camden, Newark, Patterson, and Trenton. Restorative justice hubs will be established in these 4 locations with enhanced reentry wraparound services. The hubs will help foster working relationships with local law enforcement, with the courts, prosecutors, and attorneys to help divert youth from arrest and prosecution and into restorative justice services. The Juvenile Justice Commission will also work with community stakeholders to create community-based public safety systems to help juveniles who return home from facilities continue to be supported. These systems will also serve to divert youth from entering and re-entering the juvenile justice system. These services will also be designed as an emergency response for youth who have been released from juvenile facilities due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This program will use more age-appropriate and less punitive interventions to help address the socio-emotional issues that these young people have endured. This holistic, community-based reentry wraparound service will include mental health support, substance abuse and use disorders, and recovery, educational, employment, and housing support, financial literacy, and debt support, life skills and social support, and preventative mentoring services. I want to thank the leadership of the state legislature who worked so hard on this bill. Senator Turner, Senator Poe, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, Assemblywoman Spate, Assemblywoman Sumter, and Assemblyman Varelli. I know the work that these legislators have committed themselves to from the period of time that I worked along with them in the New Jersey General Assembly, as well as Mayor Reed Gusiora. And this is a challenge that we must confront and a challenge we must win. The legislators' persistence in pushing this critical legislation through for disadvantaged youth will make a tremendous difference in the lives of countless children in their state. Just like no child is born not being able to fulfill his or her potential, no child should be thrown away and written off. And I also want to thank Acting Attorney General Andrew Bruck and Juvenile Justice Commission Executive Director Dr. Jennifer LeBaron for supporting and investing and working every day to address issues that are confronting young people in our state. Every child, regardless of his or her zip code, deserve a chance to succeed and to reach their full potential. This bill is bringing us closer to that realization in New Jersey. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to Acting Attorney General Andrew Bruck. And after the Attorney General has addressed us, we will follow the program with the other speakers simply just coming up to the podium.
Thank you, Acting Governor Oliver. It's good to have you here. It's good to have you with the authority to sign the bill this morning. I'll start with an admission, which is that I did not get that much sleep last night. As some of you know, I've got a 9-month-old daughter, and the general rule of thumb is if she's up, I'm up. Last night around probably 2 o'clock in the morning, I was up with baby Libby, and I was thinking about today's bill signing. And I was thinking about, as she gets older, what would happen if, God forbid, she were to make a few wrong turns, a few bad mistakes, and found herself entangled in our juvenile justice system. What kind of system would I want that to be? I would want that system to be one that focuses on rehabilitation and not punishment. I would want that to be a system that invests in treating the psychological and emotional development of the children who have become entangled in it. I would want it to be a system that tries to connect the juveniles with the victims of their crimes, of their misconduct, and try to find a path forward, a way to heal the trauma that was created by their actions. I would want it to be a system that invests in the broader community so that the rehabilitation doesn't end when someone leaves secure care. And I would want it to be a system that is constantly trying to innovate, constantly trying to be a national leader, to make it the best possible system that it could be. And that's what this bill does. That's why this bill is so effective. And that's why I'm so proud to be here today to watch it be signed by the acting governor. And look, over the last 15 years, the work of the Juvenile Justice Commission has been extraordinary in the work that it has done to reduce youth incarceration. But the reality is, statistically speaking, it is exceptionally unlikely that my daughter ever winds up in our juvenile justice system. Statistically speaking, we know who winds up in our juvenile justice system. Disproportionately, it's black and brown children. Disproportionately, it is children who don't have access to adequate education or housing or economic opportunities. It's children who don't have the familial and community support they need in order to thrive the way that I hope my daughter will. It's children who come from families who don't have access to political power to advocate for the changes that we need in our system. Look, the reality is, and you've heard it, black children are 21 times more likely to be detained in our state than white children. We have the highest white to black youth incarceration disparity in the country. We have the fourth highest Latinx to white youth incarceration disparity in the country. That is unacceptable. And we need to do everything we can to address that disparity. It's something that I know Dr. LeBaron, the executive director of the Juvenile Justice Commission, believes in. It's something that I believe in. And the reality is that we won't fix this system until we treat every child in the system as if they were our own. Unless we advocate for those children the way that I would advocate for my own. And the reason why I'm so proud to be here today is because there's so many folks in this room who have political power, who have access to political power, to the resources to change the system, and I see them in the front row, in the second row, I see them in the back, who have used their political power to fix the system. Governor Murphy, acting Governor Oliver, our legislators, including my hometown legislators, the assemblymen and the assemblywoman, the assembly person, that's why we say person, isn't it? The assembly person and the senator, the Institute for Social Justice, Salvation and Social Justice, all of the community stakeholders who have come together to advocate for these changes. I will sleep better knowing that we have pilot programs like this, that we are constantly looking for ways to innovate and looking for ways to make sure that we're taking care of every child in the state as if they're our own. Thank you. And now, I would like to call up my state senator, the Honorable Shirley Turner.
Good morning, everyone. This is not just a good morning. This is a great morning for the state of New Jersey, as well as the city of Trenton. I'm thrilled today that the city of Trenton, the capital city, is part of this pilot program, because I have seen too many, far too many of our young people go into our criminal justice system, and many of them go in as young offenders and they come out as hardened criminals. And that has to stop. We have to start investing in our youth, because they are our future leaders and they are our future. There's an old African proverb that says, it takes a village to raise a child. And our villages now are sorely lacking. But now with this bill, this could put the kind of thing that our ancestors envisioned, and creating that village when we provide wraparound services to our young people and provide them with the necessary skills to survive and to be productive citizens. It is too often our young people wither on the vine, so to speak. They don't have the necessary health services, the necessary drug treatment services, the housing, the education, the job training, the employment services, and let's face it, many times they don't have the parents that are there to provide them with the necessary guidance for a number of reasons. But this is not just a good bill. This is a game changer for the state of New Jersey as well as the taxpayers in New Jersey, because as the Lieutenant Governor indicated, it costs far more in tax dollars to incarcerate than it is to rehabilitate. And we have wasted too many lives and too many dollars doing the same old thing and getting the same old bad results. And there's a saying that the definition of insanity is doing the same old thing and expecting a different result. So this is not just a game changer. This has the potential to be life-changing for so many of our young people in the state of New Jersey. We're starting with this pilot program in 4 counties, and I'm looking forward to the success of this program and moving it statewide so that every child in New Jersey will get the kind of investment that they need and they deserve in order to be self-productive citizens and realize their potential. So I'm just honored today, and I want to thank all of you stakeholders, because we could not have done it without your muscle being behind us. And I want to thank our legislators, particularly Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson for her steadfast support. And I want to thank Nellie Poe, who has been in the Senate pushing harder than most in terms of providing criminal justice, not just for our youth, but for everyone in this state. So at that, I'd like to call upon my colleague, my partner, Senator Nellie Poe.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Senator Turner. Thank you for those incredible words. First of all, is it afternoon already? It's good afternoon. I can't see the clock, so I have no idea. But first, let me just say how I am so very happy to join our acting Governor, Sheila Oliver, and all the dignitaries that are here. I'm not going to name you all, but you all are so very special. We're so very happy that you're here because this is really what makes a difference. I want to especially acknowledge all of my colleagues. Certainly, I've already mentioned Senator Turner, but to my right here, I have so many important, incredible colleagues that I work so very closely. My data, the real life story that you share, the life stories that we know, right? That we know actually happens and in those facilities and out in the community. So I'm so very proud to be a part of today's process. I'm proud to be here witnessing the signing of S-2924, a legislation that I can tell you that I'm especially proud of because it does, as it's been pointed out by the speakers before me, it's a two-year pilot for the restorative and transformative Justice of Youth and Community pilots in the Juvenile Justice Commission, a commission through the leadership of Dr. LeBaron that was mentioned earlier by our acting Attorney General, someone that I have had the pleasure of working very closely on. The Governor's Commission, and there's a lot of very important things that we're doing, and we're hoping that a lot more comes out of that. So I just want to make sure that we kind of stay on top of these things. But as it was pointed out earlier, through the law, we hope to bring attention to the great need that we have in our state to reform youth justice system and to highlight the changes that will keep our young people from re-entering a system that has too often failed to integrate them back into their home communities after they have served their time. I think this is a piece of legislation soon to become law that was way, way overdue. And it's certainly time that we do the right thing and start moving in a different direction. Which is why I think it's appropriate to say that I really see this law as nothing less than a reinvention. I know that Andrea said an investment, and that is so very important, but it's also for us to reinvent how we do things. We can no longer, it's been pointed out by our acting governor, we can no longer continue to do things the way we used to do. We have to think, be more creative, be part of a process that is really going to change the lives of so many of our young people. We want them to become productive citizens. We want them to go back into society, to return to society so that they can be able to build their lives and move into the community. We want them to be a part of every single wonderful opportunities that we are all afforded with. And if we can have them, why can't everyone not have that? Why should there be such a huge disparity between one group versus another? I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of that. I am. My Assemblywoman, Shavonda Sumter, and I had a conversation the other day as she was taking me home from a meeting that we had, and I wasn't planning on talking about this, but it was a very interesting and opportunity for us to kind of share some thoughts. And it's that kind of conversation or information that, I think it's important that we start saying, look, we don't want the system to fail our kids. We want our system to work for our kids. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity that all those individuals that was talked about before, whose lives, unfortunately, we can no longer, and we pray that they are in a different situation today, but that we can no longer bring them back into that. We pray that they do not have that problem, that we want to be able to provide them with all those opportunities that we failed to provide everyone before that. We want to make sure that we have a state that says, yes, we are able to make sure that regardless of the color of your skin, that everyone will be treated and handled the same way. That's the state of New Jersey that I represent. That's the state of New Jersey that I know we all want. That's why you're here, because if you didn't believe in the same thing, you wouldn't be here in support of that. And I know, but just because of my relationship and my opportunity for working with each and every one of you, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Isn't that right, Reverend? So I know that it's been mentioned with regards to the wraparound services. It's important. I want everyone, the press and everyone, to understand that these services are so critical. It's been mentioned multiple times by the speakers before me, so I'm not going to repeat them. But each and every one of those services are equally and critically important. for that child to be successful. So here is one thing that I do want to share, however, that we who have followed, right, and that's many of us, if not all of us in this room, that have followed this issue know all too well that the punishment to rehabilitation ratio when it comes to juvenile justice are out of whack. We know that. That is while the states currently, and I think that the acting governor talked about this before in terms of dollar amounts, that's why the states currently spends approximately $53 million a year to operate its 3 secured juvenile facilities and allocates only around $16 million to counties who operate community-based youth programs. So you see, you do the math, right? It's simple. We see this law as a guidebook for true restorative justice that will help our kids out of a faulty and unequal system in the first place and give those who have been released the resources that they need to start the next chapter of their lives. Because if they are in a good place, it's like everything else. When your home is happy, your community is also happy, and everyone who lives, plays, and works in that community is able to grow and create the kind of community that we all want. Let me just say finally that it's been my greatest honor to be able to work with my colleagues. You all are awesome. I know we talk a lot about this, and to all the advocates, thank you, because we couldn't do this without you. It is my great pleasure and honor to, at this point, to introduce my colleague in the Assembly, who has also been a champion on a number of things that I have worked very closely with her on other stuff. Senator Turner and I have a lot of things that are going on as well. But please, Assemblywoman Veroline Reynolds Jackson, please come forward. Thank you.
So it's still morning, and it's okay. I am so excited today. I haven't been able to sleep, and I've been up since probably 5:30 this morning. And so yes, I got my 4.5 miles in this morning, and I am still percolating. So to hear the Lieutenant Governor, our senators, and I'm thankful that our chairwoman from the New Jersey Legislative Black Caucus, Shervonda Sumter, is able to make it here today, and all of the advocates are here today to support this bill, to have it signed into law. I've been working with Senator Turner on this level for a short period of time, but there have been bills that have taken decades to pass. And so I have to say, New Jersey, we are investing in our youth, and we do have good government. My county executive is here, Brian Hughes. I thank him for his support in the youth justice transformation as well. Sam, the YWCA with the youth, the children. I'm a Y girl too. I grew up in the YWCA fighting against racism and empowering women. This is in my blood. It's in my nature. This is just who I am. But we have to really take a moment and realize and recognize the national reckoning that we're going through. We're free to talk about Black people and the inequities that are happening now throughout the country. But we also recognize that our government is investing in making sure that our youth have the systems in place, the support, and the financial funding to make sure that these services are there for them when they come home, and hopefully prevent them from even coming into the correction system to even begin with. So with that, on the youth justice front, I'm proud to be a prime sponsor and partner with my colleagues, the social justice, and to advance the transformative justice for youth communities pilot bill, in which we're signing today. In the past November, due to the advocacy of so many youth, New Jersey released thousands of incarcerated individuals in response to the COVID-19 crisis. In addition to the incarcerated adults, the state has also released approximately 90 young people as well, and will continue to release young people with less than 1 year on their sentence while the public health crisis continues. It's critical that these young people returning to their communities are provided with resources they need to stay at home and to stay out of state youth facilities. That's why I'm so proud to champion this new legislation, which would develop and enhance reentry services and restorative justice hubs in Trenton, Camden, Newark, and in Patterson. It is at this time that New Jersey makes meaningful investments in building up our youth instead of youth prisons to incarcerate them. The same financial investment that is made to incarcerate our youth and to sustain the daily operations in our youth prisons is the same financial investment now being made to our juveniles returning home and when they return home. The $450,000 per individual that is saved when youth prisons close can now be earmarked for community juvenile services and not targeted for other areas that do not assist our youth in underserved communities. The signing of this bill into law is a great first response. I look forward to seeing this in the budget for the next year as well. New Jersey's broken youth justice system through the passage of the Youth Justice Transformation Act is another priority that we're looking forward to. I am the aunt of 9 nephews. I have a brother that was incarcerated at a young age. I treat each child, I think of each child as though they are a part of my family. And that's what we have to continue to do here today. We know from the data and statistics that this system just isn't working, but I'm so proud of New Jersey's good government and how we all come together collectively. Thank you, Assemblymember Rowley, for being a partner with us in this mission. We couldn't do it in the 15th District without you. And my next speaker is going to be Reverend Boyer. Please come up.
Let the church say amen. Unlike y'all think, I will be brief. But this is a surreal and very blessed moment. Rosalie and I started ministry many years ago, youth ministry in Patterson. And that's why we are so close to Senator Poe and Assemblywoman Sumter. And now, recently, we've been appointed here in Trenton. And to see this bill come to place under Senator Turner and Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson. What does it mean to be a child? It's wonder, discovery. The possibility of the future is joy. But it's also messing up. It's making bad decisions. It's immaturity. It's poor decision making. It's short-sightedness. I know I'm not the only one in here that can testify that I made bad decisions. My wife would say, on some days, I'm still a child. But what happens when this childhood is interrupted by trauma, is interrupted by the violence of poverty? This work, it acknowledges all of this. It acknowledges what it means to be a child, the full humanity of our children in all of its perfect imperfectedness. Now that I serve as a pastor right here in this community, this gives this legislation particular weight and importance, unlike I had ever imagined from a personal perspective. Restorative justice hubs are the community-imagined alternative to punitive responses to being a child without the community support. This law is the collective work of the most impacted by the over-incarceration of our children. This law is historic as a first step as we look to build kids and not prisons. I'm so grateful for all the faith leaders, many of whom who are here. Reverend Taylor, Pastor Taylor, Bishop Stokes, folks who work tirelessly. Reverend Charles Wilkins from Grant Chapel here in Trenton, all who work tirelessly to play a part in this. Super grateful for all the community leaders, the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, the sponsors, the governor and the lieutenant governor for their commitment for the well-being of our children, and the work of the JJC. But I'm going to close with this. What really gives me the chills today is that the folks who really put the sweat equity into this bill are sisters. The mothers of our children, the mothers of our babies. I'm giving the remarks, but it was my wife, Rosalie. Stand up, Rosalie. My wife, Rosalie, from our side, that made the phone calls, got the community members in the room, and worked alongside Retha on the Teary. These sisters worked tirelessly with Andrea from the Institute, with our champion, our Assemblywoman, Verlina Reynolds Jackson, and our Senator, Senator Shirley Turner, to our champion and our leader, Shavonda Sumter, and of course, Nellie Poe. All women of color, all who represent these very children. And sisters and brothers, I think it's especially significant that the one who signs the bill into law is the historic. And today, I ain't calling her just acting. I'm calling her the governor. The governor, Sheila Oliver, will be the one that signs this into law. I praise God for the sisters. Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to use some popular culture phrase, "Nuff said." Nuff said. And with that, we're now going to proceed to the signing table and sign this bill into law. inspiration.
She's gonna get it.
And where's Assemblyman Burrell? Thank you, Senator. Senator Poe. And we also need to thank Senator Poe for ending the solitary confinement. And our new fearless leader, and I say our because Senate presidents told me that I'm still a part of you all. Our new leader in the New Jersey Legislative Black Caucus. Thank you for the work you have done.
Yes.
And to Dr. LeBaron, and many may not know Dr. LeBaron, but she has spent a great deal of portion of her career in the juvenile justice system, and she's bringing great leadership, and she is using data and science to help us resurrect juvenile justice in the state. So thank you very much, Jen.